Welcome to this BEC webinar. My name is Rasmus Beck and I'm the Communication Manager at Badminton Europe. First of all, thanks for joining this webinar. I really appreciate that you take time outside of your practice to actually join us for this webinar about one of the topics I find very important also for you as an athlete, communication as a badminton player. In the next minutes we will be talking about why this is important, how you can do this, and also show you a little inspiration towards communication and how you can deal with it, also if you actually are not that much into it and maybe you don't like it either, but hopefully this can be an inspiration to you anyway. So let's get on with it. You are the best ambassador for yourself. That's what you need to remember. You create yourself, so to speak. Nobody knows you better than you. Nobody travels more with you than you, and nobody is living your life but you. So what you have is the chance to actually give us something as a fan that nobody else can give us. And as a fan, I can tell on behalf of every single badminton fan that we want to know you guys. We want to see you guys, and we want to know how you guys live your life. What's important for you guys? We know that you practice. We know that you are playing your games. But how does it actually feel when you're on tour? How does it actually feel to be you on a training court after your training, during your recovery? What are you actually doing when you're not in the venue? These kind of things are actually important because that gives a bigger perspective to who you are as an athlete. And the more personal you are, the more interesting the fans will be. Your reality is that you're living with external media, you're living with social media, and you're living with a life including sponsors and other stakeholders. I do not have a sponsor. My colleagues do not have a sponsor. My wife does not have a sponsor. But you have. You have people who you rely on to pay the bill basically for you. You have the fans that you reach out to, not only because it's fun, but also because it's business. Same goes for external media. So that's why it's important that you are a public people in the sport of badminton. A lot of people know who you are. You don't need to be a top 2 player in the world, defending world champion or the current Olympic champion to become somebody. Everybody in the sport of badminton is a somebody, because somebody is for sure looking up to you. So you need to be yourself in a public way. You need to think about when you publish a picture on your social media. And it is okay, of course, to be on holiday and to be tourist. But remember, you are an athlete who's working as a professional athlete. You're not just a hobby player going to the local sports hall to play every Tuesday. You practice every day. You have been through a corona crisis yet where you've been practicing every day, and I'm very sure that 99.0% of you guys have been missing traveling, playing tournaments, and living the professional athlete's life. That's the life that we want to see when we are the audience at the other end of your social media account. When I show you these logos, I'm sure that you know basically every single one of these. And I'm also sure that you can find one logo I have not included here, which I don't even know. Because you're living in a life where social media is actually quite important. Everybody has a connection to social media, even your grandparents. How many apps do you have on your phone, for instance, which is actually a social media? How much time do you spend a day on your phone on a social media? I'm pretty sure it's more than 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's more than half an hour. I'm actually also sure it's more than 1 hour. And why is that? Because that's the life we live. And that's why it's so important that you are also active on these platforms. I'm not saying that you should actually use every single of these platforms, because it's better to have 2 where you're 100% committed than only to have 4 to only be 50% committed. You all know Facebook. Facebook is for everyone. It's good when you have video content or longer updates or some kind of contests. Instagram is the likable, cozy, funny content. You know it for sure, because when you are a pro athlete, you know these things, because it might already be a tool for you. If it's not a tool, I hope this can inspire you a bit. If it already is, I hope that you can be inspired too. Not necessarily to use more platforms, but to use the platforms in the right way that you actually already are. Instagram, of course, it includes videos and the story, and it also includes contests. But you also need to remember that Facebook is not as easy accessible as Instagram is. Instagram is a quick win compared to Facebook. because you actually don't need to write much. If you want to give the audience more and in-depth content, I would suggest that you use Facebook. If you have time and resources for it, Twitter is not a bad solution either. But it's a short format, it's pure text, it's mainly the UK and the US, to be honest, who uses Twitter. Of course also journalists. So if you want to hit the media, it might not be a bad idea to actually also use your Twitter account. YouTube can be fine. You can open your new channel. Some players have done it during the COVID-19 situation. Some did it before. It can be a good idea, but remember, you need to be committed. It does not help you at all if you only post once a month. You need to be committed to every single platform you have. LinkedIn, let's jump to that, because that's for business. That's 100% professional. There's no funny in LinkedIn. There's no cozy in LinkedIn. It's all about business, how you treat your stakeholders, how you make yourself relevant for business people. And then the new one, that's the TikTok. Is TikTok a media for you? Maybe. But again, you need to be committed. And I'm sure that a lot of you will be out of your comfort zone if you join TikTok. Looking at different athletes using TikTok, the approach is for them to do something they're good at. For instance, if you are a golfer, show a spectacular shot. Can you do that in badminton? For sure. Could a tennis player do the same? For sure. Could it be insights on something funny? For sure. But if you do something you're good at, you have a good chance to go viral. But you need to think about that this is youngsters. You need to be committed to it again. And you need to have a good idea. And again, I don't expect you to get all the good ideas by yourself. It's okay to copy an idea. Nobody got the first idea. At least a very few did. The key for you guys is to find inspiration on the specific platforms. If you see something that works perfectly well on Facebook for instance, a basketball player, why not copy that idea and make it yours? Same goes for Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, whatever, Pinterest, Reddit. There's no limitation for good ideas. But I will strongly suggest that you choose the platforms that you can actually handle, put your resources into it, and think about it the same way as when you go to practice every morning in the venue. Because it is important to also have a public figure. And I'll show you why a little later. These are examples on players who promote themselves and their own business. Is it hard to take these photos? No. Is it something that everybody can relate to? Mostly. Is it something that you could do? I'm sure. These are examples from other sports. Not necessarily this one, because you know the guy to the left for sure, that's Lee Chong-wei, attending a Manchester United game. Does he have a good time? Yes. Is it connected to badminton at all? Not at all. Did he get a lot of likes? Yes, he did. Even from people who do not support Manchester United. This one, that's a quarterback, Tom Brady. He's one of the most popular sports people in the US. He's quarterback for Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. Former New England Patriot. Patriot is one of the most hated teams in the United States, but people love Tom Brady. Did he get almost 500,000 likes for this photo? Yes. Was it hard for him to do this? No. Could you do this? For sure. This woman, not much text either, but she's happy to be where she is. The All England Lawn Tennis Club. Has she ever won a major? Yeah, Grand Slam so to speak, but not the Wimbledon. Will she ever win the Wimbledon? No, because now she's retired. But she was happy to be there. Can you be happy to be where you are? For sure. This guy in the middle, you all know him if you know sports, that's LeBron James. Not much text either, but he shows that he's having a good time with his friends and family on a basket court. Could you do the same? Again, the answer is yes. Keys for you are that your fans want to know you, and they want to see you, and they want to know your lifestyle. And most important is that you are in control. It's you who decide how much do they get, and how often do they get it. But one thing that's important on social media is that you are your own ambassador. But you're not an ambassador just for you. but also for the sport of yours, but also for the sport in your country. And all of you, when you walk on court, you also have, if you don't have your flag on your chest, you might have the country name on your back, meaning you are the ambassador of your country every single time you walk on court. Do you ever think about that? That's huge. My key message that I would like to present to you is that we want to give a feeling to the followers of yours saying, great, it's me, this is my life. Because then the fans will start to think, wow, great, it could be me in the future. For instance, look at this one. Mark Kallio facing opponents in the All England, but also just showing that he's there. Is that cool? Would a 12-year-old Dutch guy actually love to be at the All England being in Mark's position? I'm sure he would. This is Scott Evans at the Rio Olympics. Would it be cool to be on that stadium that specific day? Yes. Actually, no matter what happened on that stadium, I think a lot of sports fans would love to be there. And look at these two. Now retired, but one of the best women's doubles in Europe, maybe ever. They don't win every time, but they also show that they actually like the job that they had. Because that's who they are. They're badminton players. And the only thing we do not want to tell the fans is, great, it's not me in the future. We don't want the fans to have the feeling that you don't like what you're doing, because mostly the fans do not feel sorry for you. You are not winning if you feel sorry for yourself. If you, for instance, your flight is delayed, do not complain on your social media channels, because who chose to take that flight? That's for sure not your fans. It was you. You chose to travel the world to play your sport. And if you miss somebody, why not tell it to their face instead of telling it to your fans instead? Would your mom be more happy if you call her and say, Mom, I miss you, than you let your 1,000 followers actually know that you miss your mom? It was your choice to live this life. All the people that are following you, or at least most of them, would love to have your life. It's of course okay to be disappointed when you lose. It's of course okay to be disappointed no matter what the reason is. But think about how you express yourself on social media. Because you're not winning. Because you chose to live your life. And I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of fans who would like to swap with you right here, right now. You control the platform. And a question I often get from players around the European circuit and the world tour is that, yeah, but I'm not a big star. Can I actually be part of promoting myself? And this makes no sense. So let me just be precise here. Chloe and Sam McGee, are they stars? Yes. Maria Mitsova, Bulgaria? Yes. Ari Mikela? Yes. Kim Astrup and Anders Skov Rasmussen? Yes. Carolina Marin? Yes. And why is that? Because somebody's looking up to them. And somebody wants to be them. I'm sure if you go to a local badminton club in your home country, no matter who you are, and you tell them, yeah, what I'm doing for a living is that I travel the world and I play badminton for money. Can you find at least one person who wants that life? I'm sure you can. Can you find 10? Yes. Can you find 100? I'm sure. Because you are idols for these guys and you're role models. When you create content on your social media, just keep it simple. Speaking the language you understand and your fans also understand. And short is for sure better than nothing. You don't have to write an essay every time you do something. Keep your followers updated and remember that mistakes are okay. And remember again, fans love videos and you don't need to be ESPN to actually broadcast anything. You don't need to create long videos. You might not even need to create anything because you can basically share. And you don't need to go to the makeup artist actually before recording a video shot. Let me show you some examples here. To the left, Gabby Adcock. No offense, but I don't think that Gabby will spend too much time that morning at the makeup artist. Next to her, Mia Blichfeld, out in the open on a sunny day. There's nothing hard to do to make this post. Next to Mia, a post of Chris Adcock where he's sharing a video. And next to Chris, Soraya from the Netherlands. She's sharing an interview from Badminton Europe on her platform. Does it hurt to share? No. Does it give the fans something? For sure. How long time does it take to make these posts? Maximum 5 minutes. Can you spend 5 minutes on your followers every day? Every second day? Can you spend 15 minutes per week? Of course, that's a decision you need to make. But I would strongly advise you to do so. Because the only one who's controlling your social media, that's you. Unless you hire people, of course, to do it. But then you might need to be one of the bigger stars who can actually afford to do so. And why is this important then? Yeah, let me give you an example. Because you don't need to be top 10 player to be popular, and you don't need to be a top 10 player in the world to be relevant. You for sure know this guy. This is Hans Christian Solberg Witting, he's from Denmark, and I would like to quote him. I spoke to him a while ago where he gave me this quote saying, "I'm 100% sure that my use of social media has helped me getting better paid. Also better than my level actually deserves if you look at the overall market value." I think that's a valid point, and Hans Christian is doing a very good job at his social media. And to be honest, he's not a top 10 player. You can just go look at the ranking. Another example, Rachel from Ireland. She's 22 years old and top 200 in mixed doubles. In 2018-19 season, she participated at the European Championships, the Commonwealth Games and the European Games. Is Rachel relevant? Yes, I believe she is. Because she's a national player for Ireland, she's represented Ireland and she's a professional athlete. I spoke to her sponsor Forza and they said, "The exposure is important for us. National players are players that all badminton players in the local country are looking up to. We have customers who approach us and ask us if we can sign players based on their social media activities." No names mentioned, but you know be a high-ranked player to actually get this approach. And why is that? Because local heroes are crucial. It can be national players, but also players and coaches from a club. Quote FZ Forza. This is not my words, that's a sponsor's word. So everybody here is relevant. Even if you are the rookie one, young one, 17 years old, you have never got anything paid, you're still relevant. Because somebody is looking up for you. You are a role model and an ambassador. Same goes for you who have been on the World Tour for 10 years. But I hope that the World Tour player already knows that. And do remember that you do not need a global sponsor to get a sponsor that can actually support you. I would like to show you a few examples. First, these are the sponsors of Gail Mahulet from the Netherlands. 5 out of 6 sponsors here I'm sure you do not know unless you follow Gail on social media. FZ Forza, I'm pretty sure that you guys know this one. But the 5 of these you do not, and it's okay. But because I'm pretty sure that the local people in the Netherlands or maybe in Germany knows these sponsors. And that's why it's important for Gail to actually have these sponsors. And please do not take no for an answer. Let's again take a look at Gail. Look at her in the blue jersey here. There's no sponsor on the front. Then we fast forward a bit and now she has a sponsor on the front. She has been in dialogue with this sponsor for ages with no support given. But at the final stage, she actually got the support. They supported her with money so she could travel to the World Championships. That was a great success for her. Congratulations on a good job on that one, Gail. And I hope that this can be an inspiration to somebody else who is actually also would like to have a sponsor on the front. This is Elias. He's from Greece. He has a local Olympic hotel and spa sponsor on the front of his shirt. Could that be you? Let's turn it the other way around. Why should it not be you? You have something to sell. You travel. You are somebody. You have a lot of followers. And you will be growing on social media. No doubt about that. Actually also if you don't do anything. But of course your growth will be bigger if you do something. So why shouldn't it be you who actually get a new sponsor or one more on your stomach? A big part of social media is also to handle negative comments. And I'm sorry to say, but that's not going to stop anytime soon. I have spoken to a lot of athletes in the past 5 years, and I have found some of the things that have been written to these guys. I don't want to read out everything because I think it speaks pretty much for itself, but it's not funny to be told that you're shit. It's not funny to be told that somebody knows where your girlfriend is living. That's threats, and that's no fun looking at in your feed, and I completely understand that. If you can, try to be the bigger one. Do not take it personally. And if you can, do nothing. Or at least try to answer in a polite way. I know this can be tough. It's not easy to be told these things because I know every time you guys walk on court, you go and try your best. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I don't care if you win or lose, to be honest. You can do whatever you like. And you can do it the way you like. But that's not how everybody feels. Somebody put a lot of money on your matches on betting, and they want somebody to blame because their bet didn't go well. And that, unfortunately, somebody is you. But if you can, answer in a polite way. And if you really feel that you want to do something, you can share the comments, but please hide the name of the people offending you. It does not help to put somebody out in the open and throw him, her under the bus. You need to be the bigger one here, because you don't win anything by answering in the same way and throwing people under the bus. And count to 10, 20 if needed, 100 if needed, or log out of your Instagram account and give it one day and then come back if you don't feel for it. It's always a bad idea to go to your social media and start answering immediately after you lost. Nothing good comes out of that. You all know external media. You know the classics, the TV, the radio, and the classic paper newspaper. You also know the fast one, the website, and the personal ones, which could be a blog, a SoMe, a vlog, something like that. In general, there are a few rules on how you can actually do good in terms of external media. First of all, an interview will always be a conversation. It's not a monologue. And the camera is basically just there because it has to, because the journalist, he has a camera because he needs to deliver some content to whatever platform he's serving. And media attention is a good thing. Of course, it can feel hard when you lose, that a journalist wants to ask you why you lost and if you're sad. Yes, that's true, but that's kind of what they also do. And you cannot win every single time. If you win every single time, it would maybe also be a bit boring, to be honest. Always say yes to an interview, also if the language barrier might be there. To me, it's not an argument, because there might be a translator. Or if it's television and it's not live, you can always just answer in whatever language you feel is the right one, maybe English, and then you can actually get it transcribed from the TV station so they can take care of that. So language barrier is never a reason. If it's online media, I would say you don't have the chance to get anything subtitled, so why not just give the interview the best possible way? And do not set limit for the questions. You need to be one of the very, very big names to do so, and I would strongly recommend that you don't. Most journalists knows when it's enough, and if there are more than one journalist, they also respect each other and they also have a job to do, so they will never fire away 10 questions unless you actually give them a heads up that they can do so. The post-match interview, also called the flash interview, is one of the things that you for sure know if you play on the circuit and on the world tour. You know everything about the match that just was played. You know everything about what happened. So this is actually an easy one for you. And if you feel it's hard to participate in an interview, get the questions in advance if possible, and buy you some time to drink, change your shirt, whatever can be an excuse to buy 5 more minutes just to think a little. Sometimes it's not an option. Sometimes it is. So remember, it does not hurt to be interviewed, and it does not hurt to get a critical question once a while. So please take your time in the mix zone, not only because of the journalist, but also because of you, because this is also promotion of you guys. There are a lot of standard questions, you know them. I listed some of them here. And yes, how do you feel? It's still a question asked by a journalist. It's not very creative, but the question is still there, so you might still need to answer to that question also 5 years from now. But these are some of the questions that you can always be sure that maybe this is not how they phrase it, but the essence and the meaning of this for sure is something that you will meet if you haven't met it already. I would like to show you some examples now, video examples taken from different tournaments. And this one is as an example with the Tai Xuying from Chinese Taipei. And that it involves an interpreter. So when you have an interpreter, go easy as possible. Make it simple. And let's see how she's doing it, because it's actually quite good. And the journalists get exactly what he needs.
How did you see your performance today?
你好，小戴，请问你觉得自己今天的表现怎么样？
我觉得自己今天的表现算还不错了吧，就是已经尽力去把自己的状况调整到最好，然后在打的过程中也是都已经尽了各方面的力了。
Okay, she thinks that she didn't do a bad job today. She's tried her best on court today, and she's tried everything she got on court.
The next example I would like to show you includes one of the top European players. That's Mia Blichfeldt, the European Games champions from 2019. My point is here that it is important that you're honest also when you lose, and that emotions are a good thing. If you don't have any emotions, you are basically boring. And it is okay to show your feelings. Let's see how Mia did that.
Mia Blichfeldt, one of the best 8 in the world. How does that sound?
It sounds pretty amazing, and I'm very satisfied right now. I really don't know what to say. I'm shaking, and I'm just very grateful, and very grateful for all these opportunities that I have got.
One more example, this is Anders Antonsen. This is recorded at the World Championships. I was doing the interview with Anders, and I was actually expecting that he was quite happy with his performance, but he was brutally honest, and that actually gave a way better interview and also promotion of Anders as a person than you could actually expect. So let's take a look at this one.
Anders Antonsen, ready for the quarterfinals here at the Worlds. I assume that you are a happy man today.
Yeah, of course I'm happy. A little bit mixed feelings after today's game because I started out really good and should have closed that first game. I would say 10 to 15 minutes before I did it. But a win is a win, and that's I can't change it now. I just have to focus on the next match.
But Anders, what runs through your head when you drop 12 points, which I actually think you did?
It's like, damn. Now I have to, to close him again because I already thought that first game was mine. But he's a hard-working guy, and he showed that again today, that he's never giving up. So it was a lesson.
This is one of the best interviews I have seen for badminton for a long, long time when we talk about honesty and showing emotions. This is from the World Championships in Switzerland. I'm talking to Sabrine Jacquet from Switzerland. She lost to Soraya de Wijs-Eibergen from the Netherlands. And I think it's fair to say that there was a lot of strong feelings and emotion in this interview. And this is for sure one that a lot of people will remember when they have seen this one.
I'm not even sad, I'm just angry with myself because I'm sorry, I will tell some bad words, I think, in front of the camera, but I just played. It was just one of my worst game ever since a long time, and that it's happening here on my home soil, I can't understand. I will have to check what I did wrong, but it was really bad from myself. So I'm really angry with myself. I don't know what happened.
One thing which is important when you do interviews is to give a lot of details. Do not be this empty shelf, so to speak, and be ready to explain, because the more details you actually give, the more the fans get out of the interview. And the classic one, I played my own game, that it simply does not work, because what does that actually mean? If you provide details, if you provide some insights, you also make the interview more interesting, and then you also becomes more interesting for the players and the fans watching the interviews.
Yeah, we had a few problems, and it just didn't go our way today, but we just need to refocus again. It was a tough match.
What was those problems, Sam?
I think we struggled with their style, and we kind of tried to play their style rather than play our own. So I think we didn't change that the whole game up, and we were probably a little bit flat in all areas of the game. I'm not really sure why.
Expect to get a follow-up question, and that does not mean that you have done poor or your answer is bad. See it as an option to actually to get some more airtime and to give any more details. And it actually also shows that the interviewer is actually listening to what you're saying. This is an example from the Belgian International with Ben Lane and Jessica Puke, where they actually gave a very, very good answer. But what I also had the feeling that it would be good to give a follow-up question, and the answer for the follow-up was brilliant too. So don't hesitate actually to give some details and to be prepared for follow-up questions. Let's take a look at Ben and Jess here.
I played 8 matches last week in Ukraine and didn't get one service fault, so I don't understand how all of a sudden when we come here and they're being assessed I can get more than 10 faults in one game, even when I'm bending my legs, and I'm only 5 I'm only like 5'8", so the rule for me is literally up here. So I mean, there's so much inconsistency still, and especially when they're being assessed. I think.
But guys, to be fair, isn't it just part of the game that you have to learn also to control that part? Because if you play in the windy hall, you have to adapt to the wind. If you play in a hot venue, you have to adapt to the heat. It's just part of the game.
I totally agree, but I think when you're lowering your normal serve massively, you're already at a disadvantage, and then you're still getting faulted. I think there has to be some. I get what you mean. When you play in a windy hall, you have to deal with drifts, but I think it's a totally different situation.
It's also the same for everyone when it's a windy hall.
I think it's a totally different situation when you lower your serve massively and you're still getting faulted, because then you can't get any runs on your serve.
There are not that many things that you cannot do in terms of external media, but please do not give these standard answers. I've highlighted some of those that I have heard a lot in the past 5 years, and I would actually like to highlight these for you, so you don't use them in the future if you can avoid it. For instance, we played our own game. I highlighted that one before, because what does that actually mean? We stuck to the game plan, yeah, but what was that game plan? She played well today, yeah. But why and how and why do I care about her? I'm listening to you. I need to work on my game. That's a classic one. Okay, but how and what part of your game? What does that actually mean? Is it the mental part? Is it the physical part? Is it offensive, defensive? We need some insights here instead of just standard answers who nobody actually cares about. Short answers like yes, no, and I don't know, it makes you look arrogant, to be honest. Sometimes it's okay to say I don't know, also to buy a little time to actually think about what I'm actually going to answer here. But yes and no answers, in my opinion, it does not work, and you don't look any good when you actually present these kind of questions. But I actually think that you already know that. And don't be that lion in the cave, I've called it. It's so clear for everyone if you don't want to be there and you're just jumping around in a mix zone. It's also part of your job to be there. So you don't look like one who don't want to go on court when you walk on court. And basically your match is not over before your interview is over. So don't be that lion who do not want to be there. And remember that journalists are also there to do a job like you are. And see it as a partnership, more like a competition about between journalists and you. You are in this together. There are not that many don'ts. The standard questions are no good. And if you should have one takeaway from this session regarding external media and mixed zone habits, I would actually just like you to remember this single clip. And this is why I would really not like you to act in a mixed zone. This is from the NFL. This is a player from Seattle Seahawks who do really not like to be in the mix zone. This is just before the Super Bowl, and I really don't hope that you will be inspired by him.
I'm here so I won't get fined. 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 I'm just here so I won't get fined.
A lot of athletes are afraid of critical questions from journalists, and I understand why. It's putting you on the spot, maybe even on topics that you actually do not want to talk about. But remember, when you get the critical questions, everything is on the record. So you really need to think about what you say, and it is okay to have an opinion. And if you don't know what to say, please follow the line of your NOC, your national federation, your club, whoever is actually involved in that kind of question that will be asked. That can be political question, that could be something around Olympics, that could be doping, match fixing, whatever. And it is okay to have an opinion. I would actually strongly recommend that you have an opinion, because if you don't have opinion, you're actually on the way to be an empty shelf again, and that's actually nothing that you can actually benefit from. Of course, you need to think about what you say, and sometimes it's also better to keep quiet than actually to give your opinion depending on the topic. If you choose to actually say what you mean, please never lie. Be honest with yourself, and remember again, it's on the record. So don't say anything that you will not hear again and will not face again. because that's simply the ground rule of doing these kind of things. And if you need, then don't be afraid to seek advice from your press officer, your CEO, your coach, if you don't know what to say. It's fair that you don't know everything about the politics in your federation or in your NOC or whatever that could be, and it has never harmed anyone to get a second opinion on an opinion if that's needed. And just remember that the answer no comment is 9 out of 10 times the wrong answer. It is simply 9 out of 10 times the wrong answer, because that means that you know that you're going to say something controversial, but you know that you don't like to. And then media start to interpret, to actually look into why don't you want to talk about that, and what do you mean? Okay, this is actually a yes instead of a no, or whatever that could be. So no comment is always bad. Take a look at the history and see who actually managed to pull that one off. There are not that many, to be honest. I don't have much more to say for now, thank you very much, but I would like to highlight one thing. Do not do this for me, do it for you. I'm sure you will be good at this, because you are your own ambassador. You are ambassador for the sport of badminton in your country, but also for your own country in Europe and in the world. Don't do it for me, do it for you. Some of you will probably lose a sponsor if you don't do anything on social media. Some of you will not get a sponsor if you don't do anything. Some of you will also get a sponsor no matter what, because you are interested in the result that you deliver. But it's never a bad thing to behave well on social media and in external media. I don't care what you do. I'm just trying to inspire you a little. I'm inspiring you to actually give that interview in the mix zone. I know that some of you can get fined if you don't take part in the interviews, but why not make it fun, and why not make it a partnership instead of just a job to be done? Relax and be honest, and take control of your own platforms, and take control of the interviews that you actually part in. And good answers gives fewer questions, because there's also a limit for how much time a journalist can spend in a mix zone. Do it for yourself and not for me. Thank you very much for taking your time outside of your practice to participate in this webinar delivered from Badminton Europe. I hope to see you all soon again, and take care until we meet again.